On an arid African plain, a filmmaker follows his dream to photograph the lions of Etosha. For 2 years, out in the wild, he'll get hands-on lessons in a different kind of filmmaking. On the trail of his quarry, he'll learn how one wrong move can spell the difference between success and failure. And sometimes between life and death. On the hot, dry plains of Namibia's Etosha National Park, a filmmaker pursues a lifelong dream. Paul van Schalkwyk is making his first wildlife film.
No one with a normal brain function will go out and do this. You have to be half crazy.
Back in Windhoek, Namibia's capital, Paul is a celebrated cinematographer. But he's decided to put his more comfortable life on hold to fulfill a desire to make natural history films. Joining Paul is his longtime assistant cameraman, Max Shimhanda. As they set out, the two have only an inkling of the path ahead. But they are about to meet their greatest challenge as filmmakers, chronicling the lives of 3 notorious lions.
We've heard so much about these 3 males, and this is their favorite hunting grounds.
Their first real obstacle will be locating their quarry. Out here, that's no small job. Etosha National Park is more than 8,500 square miles, larger than the state of New Jersey. For now, they scour the plains daily.
These 3 lions were notorious for driving off other males and killing big rhinos. We wanted not only to document their behavior, but also to capture them in action.
After days of searching, Max climbs to a higher perch to observe a seasonal waterhole. Finally, there they are. One of the 3 males and a female companion. Paul and Max set up, careful to keep a safe distance. The 3 males watch over a pride of 3 females and their 4 offspring. When the others appear and move to the water's edge, Paul and Max are rewarded with a family portrait.
At first, I was afraid of them, but eventually we became used to each other. We became like brothers.
Now, Paul and Max can finally get down to work, filming the life of these 10 lions. The pride usually hunts after dark. It's cooler and easier for them to ambush prey. But for the filmmakers, this is another lesson in wildlife cinematography: how to film the cats at night. A sudden blaze of light can disrupt the lions or their prey. But without much light, the filmmakers themselves are in the dark. To keep up with their quarry and capture their lives on film, Paul and Max find themselves mimicking the lion's routine. Like the pride, they chase their prey by night and rest by day. After 5 disappointing weeks waiting to capture a daylight hunt, Paul and Max just might get their chance today.
Maxa, kom eens die wild hier achter.
They've had a long lesson in lion hunting. Even with prey nearby, the lions often fail.
If these lions stay just where they are, they might get a meal today because the wind is blowing perfect for them. Lions don't consider the wind, and their smell gives them away. That's one of the important reasons their hunts are often so unsuccessful.
As the filmmakers watch, the females lead the hunt. A lioness singles out a zebra foal and its mother. And overtakes the straggler in a storm of dust. The distraught mare escapes the trap, but pays a high price, the loss of her only foal. The 3 males wrestle over the tiny zebra kill. It will not sate their hunger long.
In lion life, it's the males who have to protect the pride and their territory. The females serve only as chief providers, even if they themselves sometimes go hungry. It's this arrangement that has allowed the species to survive for hundreds of thousands of years.
During feeding, Paul and Max are especially careful to keep their distance.
Maxa, wat so voel is dat? We still had situations where the one male specifically, he never trusted us and he was always measuring us. And I'm sure if he had the opportunity, he would have gone for us.
With temperatures hovering at 110 Fahrenheit, once generous ponds shrink to muddy swamp holes. Even with water in short supply, when the lions need to drink, they get plenty of elbow room. One of the males ventures toward clearer water. Then, he steps on something.
We delighted at his antics. He was fishing for a small snack. I think a frog or terrapin perhaps. But the irony didn't escape us. This was the first opportunity to film either of these notorious males on a hunt.
When hot winds blow the dust into storm clouds, the lions nearly disappear into the landscape. But the weather is the least of Paul and Max's worries. Today, the Land Rover has broken down.
Okay.
Here, they face the type of dilemma that separates wildlife filmmakers from the rest of humanity. They will have to tow the rover themselves. They hitch it to another rover. Max will steer the broken truck while Paul drives the Landy. The caravan leaves the park safely. Then suddenly, disaster. A tire blows. Both vehicles careen out of control, then flip. first foray into wildlife filmmaking may have just ended. The lion film is on hold indefinitely. Max fares better, but Paul has broken his back.
And this is what I like.
Papa? Wat?
Sy terug, sy
He spends 6 weeks on his back in bed.
vat hy weer 2 sekondes. Maar 2 en 2 is
Mijn mocht het lang goed. Wat klankgolven?
Then, he faces many more months of grueling rehabilitation.
Nou, maar ook een...
He is determined to finish the lion film. And so is Max.
I got scraped from here down to my thigh, but I'm fine now, and my hand also recovered well.
Seven months after the accident, Paul and Max finally make it back to Etosha. Only to learn the pride has disbanded and the males are gone. The females and their offspring are now on their own. For Paul and Max, the news means a difficult search.
Okay, gaan we nou look at.
Then they get a break. Rangers spot the males 50 miles east in an area known as Rietfontein. Paul, still recovering from a broken back, feels every bump and rut over the rocky scrubland. Even if their search is successful, they may need to spend valuable time reintroducing themselves to the lion trio. Finally, after 8 days, they hit pay dirt. Paul spots a male. It appears that here, in Rietfontein, the males have started another family. A female guards her newborn cubs.
She's extremely protective. We know she's in the bushes somewhere, right close to us.
The lioness refuses to let the cubs play in open view, unless one of the males is nearby. Hopes of cementing a quick bond with the pride begin to wane. Still, the cubs seek out room to play.
But they were curious, and they came closer and closer to us. We knew we could get ourselves in big trouble with their mother if they came too close.
After 2 weeks of barely tolerating the presence of the filmmakers, the lioness has finally had enough. She has made her point. Six weeks after Paul and Max meet the pride, the cubs enjoy their first taste of fresh meat. In no time, they're squabbling over the carcass just like their elders. By 8 weeks, the cubs are falling into the full lion routine. Gorge by night, relax by day. But life in a pride cannot always be predictable and fun. Just a few weeks later, the cub's mother finds herself alone, even though the males are nearby enjoying a kill. Hungry, she calls out. But her pleas go unanswered. Paul and Max have no idea how the scene will end. One thing is clear: the size of the prey these lions can kill.
We discovered that normally after their first portion, the lions will call the other members of the pride to share the meal.
But the males ignore the mother and her cubs. They even sleep on their prey to keep it from scavengers. As day turns to night, the mother still awaits a call that will never come. She may have to hunt for herself.
The mother just got up with the other lionesses of the pride and she went on a hunt, and for the first time ever she left the cubs in our presence.
Weeks with Paul and Max just a few feet away seem to have helped put the mother's fears to rest.
Between Max and I, we have 4 human cubs at home. And at first we felt really honored to be entrusted with these.
Later that night, they hear the eerie whooping calls of hyenas on the prowl. Unaware of the threat, the youngsters prepare to sleep.
We stayed awake all night, worried about our new charges.
At sunup, Paul sees the predator perilously close, and he realizes he faces a professional predicament. Now emotionally attached to the lions, he also has a duty not to alter their fate.
What was I going to do? Was I going to chase them away, or was I going to film the murder of 4 cute little lion cubs?
The hyena circles closer. The rest of the pack is not far behind. The cub's isolation seems complete. But then,
Out of the blue, the most beautiful creature in the world just walked into view. It was the lioness. The cubs were simply overjoyed. You could see that in their whole behavior. Max and I had never felt so relieved.
with the advent of the rainy season, springbok pass through the lion's territory. The males use the cloudy, dark nights as an opportunity to thin the herd. The filmmakers are amazed as they watch springbok disappear, literally.
They devoured an entire springbok in 6 minutes flat. What remained of the springbok at the end of the night was only its horns, its skull, and a few pieces of spine.
the big herds strike out for the grassy plains to the west. Traveling day and night, the three males follow. But then, Paul and Max realize the lions aren't trailing the herds at all.
We extended that line on the GPS and it took us directly from Rietfontein to Okandeka. The shortest distance, these guys were walking on an invisible line with invisible compasses, and they stuck to it to get to Okandeka as quickly as possible.
Leaving their new pride behind, the park's most infamous lions are returning to their former territory. With Paul and Max close behind, they trek the 50 miles in 2 long days. Once on familiar turf, they snatch their first meal since leaving Rietfontein. One male nearly trades his life for his dinner. As he tries to dig in, he's rewarded with repeated kicks to the head. In the morning, he seems dazed and too shaken to press on. Then, Paul and Max hear loud bellows from the other 2 males. And they realize the lions are calling the pride they last saw 10 months ago. The 2 leave their injured brother behind and resume their search for their former mates.
We knew that the pride wasn't far away. Then the lions started to walk with a sense of urgency. I just knew that something was going to happen.
Paul does not have long to wait. Soon, the lions encounter 2 young males lounging in a clearing. They exchange growls. Flanking their mother, the younger males march boldly forward. Suddenly, the older males are face to face with 2 powerful foes, almost certainly their own offspring.
And I thought, so this is it. We'll finally get to see what made these lions such feared fighters. I really looked forward to filming the showdown.
The great lions strut before their former pride, scuff marking the dirt. But these youngsters want to lead, not follow. Their charge ends the fight.
We were absolutely stunned. The lions were driven off by their own offspring. And even more astonishing, the big ones never even put up a fight.
In an apparent victory celebration, the bold young lions affirm their bond to their mother. They have deposed the rulers of the plains. The 2 males seek out their brother. Rejected by the pride and getting on in years, the 3 now face an uncertain future. But for now, at least, they have one another.
We went out to capture the big moments, the dramatic hunts, the fierce confrontations. But we also came back with more intimate moments, those that really capture the essence of life inside a pride.
Most people only get to see wild animals on television, and I know they're grateful to the filmmakers who take the pictures. They wish us long lives to continue our good work.
After 2 years and 13,000 miles, Max Shimhanda and Paul Van Skalkwyk have earned their stripes as wildlife filmmakers. They've illuminated our understanding of male lions and their prides. Their dream realized, it's time for them to return to their own families.